I remember when I first switched to a vegan diet, I was still getting in way too much protein. To be fair, I was still in the meathead mindset, so 240 grams of protein per day minimum was occurring, and I tried to do this as a vegan, but it got unsustainable, not least because of the amount of beans I had to eat and the excessive fiber intake that resulted from that, but also because I felt that I had to hit it, even though really I didn't, and this just got a bit annoying. The thing is, that amount of protein is just not necessary. Nowadays it's between 120 and 140 grams of protein per day at the absolute maximum, and my ability to build muscle compared to when I was consuming double that hasn't been impacted at all. And it shouldn't surprise me really, because your body's needs for protein aren't as high as you think, and when you start to consume protein in excess, your liver just converts it back to glucose anyway. Yeah, that's right, your body just converts protein back into carbohydrate, which begs the question, why not just consume the carbohydrates in the first place and save your body having to go through that process? It just seems more efficient and optimal to do it that way, which is exactly the approach I take with my clients. You're looking for optimizing efficiency. More on carbohydrate in another video though. So nowadays 120 to 140 grams of protein per day. Let's talk about my favorite and most recommended sources of vegan protein. These are foods that do contain other macros, just want to put that out there. So they're not just strictly protein, some contain carbs as well, and some contain fat. So let's have a little look at my favorites. Firstly, lentils. Lentils are one of my favorite protein sources because they provide you with the carbohydrates you need and also with the protein, and then from there you can just add some omega-3 fatty acids from any source you like. But those lentils per 100 grams dry are going to provide you with 24 grams of protein, 56 grams of carbs, and 1 gram of fat. So very good macro ratios for a bodybuilding diet. Beans, specifically red kidney beans, if you've been following me, you know I don't know where I'd be without my red kidney beans. Very similar macros to lentils. High protein pastas, something that I've been including more of lately. I like the black bean spaghetti. That's 44 grams of protein per 100, which is absolutely crazy. High protein grains, for instance quinoa. I like using quinoa to go alongside beans, peas, other pulses, because it just gives you an extra boost of protein. 12 grams per 100 grams that you use. It is primarily a carbohydrate source, but the protein does add up, so consider using that as well. And then whole food sources of soy protein, so for example edamame, tofu, and tempeh. If you look at the amount of protein equivalent to the number of calories in say 100 grams of dry lentils, you're looking at about 38 grams of protein, so they are worthwhile inclusions in your diet as well. And last but not least, protein powders. I know what people are going to say, we should be able to get enough protein from your diet, you shouldn't have to use protein powders. You don't have to use protein powders. I've never had to use them, I've always wanted to use them because they're convenient and cost effective. Even before I was vegan, I was still using protein powders. So it's not a feature of the vegan diet that I have to use them now. It's just that I still like to use them because they are easy ways to get in protein. Let's say just before the gym, I don't want to have to make a whole meal. I just want to down a protein shake. Easy, done. I use VivaLife's raw plant protein, digests very well and contains some really good health promoting ingredients, so check it out. The reason there aren't 100 different sources of protein on this list is because firstly, no matter what diet you're on, there aren't 100 different sources of protein. And secondly, if it works, why change it up? I like to use these select sources of protein because they agree with my body and I find they provide me with the best results, which is why I'm recommending them to you. Even when I wasn't vegan, I still cycled through the same 4 or 5 protein sources, because when you find something that agrees with your body, you just continue to do it. You don't need to reinvent the wheel and just vary things for the sake of varying things. Sometimes that consistency is exactly what you need. For anyone who knows me, they know I'm big on beans. Beans and rice, stereotypical meal, but it works, so I can't complain. Getting 120 to 140 grams of protein per day really isn't that difficult, even when you're trying to keep it within a certain caloric intake. I know some people will say, well, these aren't pure protein sources, i.e. they contain other macros. But the thing is, even if you did have a pure protein source, you'd add other foods to give you your carbs and your fats anyway. So in my opinion, this is a little bit of a time saver that these foods come pre-packaged with some of these other macronutrients. Of course, you need enough protein to optimize muscle recovery and growth, but beyond that, you want to make sure that your training is as effective and optimal as possible, and that is done through adequate carbohydrate selection and also adequate carbohydrate intake. But we're going to be covering that in a future video, so please stay tuned. I just want to say that the new year is coming up, guys, so now is a good time to invest in yourself. Consider becoming a client of mine and I'll show you what we can do. The website is linked below if you want to check it out. If not, I want to wish you all the best and have a happy new year.